Hello, and welcome to the final content reading of the White Album 2 Blu-ray series. So this is for Volume 6. This is the final Blu-ray, at least as of now in 2022. We're still hoping that they'll continue the anime in the future, but as of right now, this is as far as it's gone. So we're just going to jump right in. We're starting off with the bonus postcard here of Kazusa and Setsuna. Winter is coming on. That bittersweet, eternal moment. White Album 2. Illustration by Takeshi Nakamura. So this is the guy that did the illustrations for White Album 2. And look at this image of them. So beautiful, so detailed. Look at all the ruffles. Look at the shading in it. So some of the other illustrations that we got from the Blu-ray extras were a little bit simplified. They were drawn in the anime style. This one, it just takes the detail to a whole new level. I mean, look at the lace that's in Setsuna's shawl. Look at the detail in the hands. It's great. I think Setsuna's face looks a teeny tiny bit doofy. And the fingers are kind of crazy if you look at them for too long. But if you don't look at things for too long, holy cow, this is gorgeous. Look at Kazusa's hair. I mean, like, the lighting, the line art, everything about it is really, really cool. So kudos on this postcard. Then we come to a significantly less happy image on the DVD itself. Kazusa's leaving. Haruki, we don't even get to see his face because he is so distraught. And Setsuna is doing her best to hang on to Haruki, but as we know, it doesn't work out super well at this point. Terrible, terrible image. Although, really symbolic and really well done. And again, this is Volume 6, White Album 2. Now, just in case that didn't make you sad enough, we have the full version of the photo on the Blu-ray outside cover itself. You can see the plane taking off, the trio, all very, very sad. Aww. White Album 2. White Album 2. Winter is coming on. That bittersweet, eternal moment. So here is the episode guide 11 and 12. So these are the final episodes which were included in the anime series. This is a huge, huge deal because this is the conclusion that they came to. Episode 11, The Snow Melts and Until It Falls Again, Part 2. Now, evilly enough, they separated this episode into two parts, and that's fine, but they separated the two parts into two different Blu-rays. What a marketing scheme. That is one if I've ever seen one. Like, leaving you off on such a cliffhanger that it's literally an episode, two-part episode on two different pieces of merchandise. That is cruel, but they did it. Knowing now how Kazusa truly feels, Haruki is deeply perplexed over receiving such a confession at this stage. But at the same time, he can't hide his happiness at learning that the girl he always liked the most has harbored the same feelings for him. You know what? If you liked her the most, you should have asked her out way earlier. And so, when Kazusa breaks things off with a declaration of friendship and attempts to leave him, he takes an unforgivable action. Even the understanding that it will keep them from ever being able to be a pair again, let alone a trio, fails to hold him back. The man can't help himself, in other words. Is it the best decision? Well, he's finally going with his heart, but he's not taking the responsible route for it. The responsible route would have just been, hey, you know what? Breaking things off with Setsuna, She'd be sad, she'd be pissed, whatever, that's fine. But he doesn't. And that's what makes it so unforgivable. And then to episode 12, graduation. Congratulations, everyone. You've made it to graduation. Haruki falls sick the night after parting from Kazusa, and Setsuna takes great pains in taking care of him, even though she was the one betrayed. That's Setsuna for you. While Haruki is rendered motionless by his own guilt, Setsuna, feeling some guilt herself, does her best to treat him tenderly, pretending not to know anything. That is such a bad thing to do. You need to be able to be open with someone. And if you can't be open with them, even if it's in their best interest, what do you have? You have a relationship built on lies. Then Kazusa appears, swallowing everything she felt, hiding her emotions to bid farewell. And, as though to announce an end to this tragic winter of endless lies, their graduation ceremony begins. If in this isn't high school drama, thank God I never experienced anything as horribly traumatic as this in high school. Like, Jesus criminy. Then, as a special bonus, which is part of the character page here, not really a bonus, I guess, but every other Blu-ray had 2 episodes. This one, da-da, episode 13, Lucky 13, Love Out of Reach, otherwise known as Todokanai Koi, the song that they all performed together, that Haruki wrote about Kazusa, that they made Setsuna sing. At last, Haruki has made the ultimate mistake with Kazusa. Ha! The ultimate mistake. At last, Kazusa has carried through on her own feelings and is on the verge of flying overseas with nothing but that memory in her heart. And at last, Setsuna has faced her own wrongdoings and still desiring to stand together as a trio one last time, she takes Haruki with her to the airport. Oh God. I still can't get over it. That awkward ride to the airport. When they are all together again, the same cherished memory crosses all of their minds. The final song that they played at the school festival. And its title is Todokanai Koi, or Love Out of Reach. So we get some extremely sad images on in the bottom right, but also some extremely passionate, well, it's a lot of emotions in that final episode. It really is. Then for our character page here, we have plain clothes setting. Everyday clothes, Haruki Kitahara on the right-hand side. He's got kind of that smart style. Almost semi-formal, but not quite. Kazusa actually dresses largely the same. It's almost like a semi-formal kind of style. She definitely dresses older than she is. You know what I mean? Setsuna actually looks the most casual out of the 3, I feel like. Setsuna dresses a lot younger. She has these frilly skirts and these cute tops, the lacy tops. They're very, very girly. Not to say that girly isn't mature, but I feel like Kazusa dresses a little bit more mature as a woman, and Setsuna dresses a little bit girlier as a young adult. You know, even though the age difference isn't really anything. That's how I feel about their outfits. Their little shoes, they're so cute. They're like Crocs. They're like Crocs and Uggs together. And then the Fumiaki Maruto text commentary. Kazusa Toma and Setsuna Okiso. Look at these little chibis. They're so cute. They should have made chibi keychains out of them. That would have been adorable. So, this is the commentary from the writer of White Album 2, Fumiaki Maruto-san, starting with The Snow Melts and Until It Falls Again, Part 2. And now for the 11th episode, the end of the beginning, in which all of the unpleasant truths have been brought to light. When I think about it, episodes 10 and 11 together really only progress the plot by about an hour. But it's no good to worry about the little details. Yeah, because that 1 hour was really, really important. Now, Setsuna's number of lines has gone from few to 0. She only appears in a single scene. Yonezawa-san's name has disappeared from the credits, and I have earned a whole lot of glares because of it. I reiterate, I am on Team Setsuna. But again, like I said in the last episode, this part really is, the biggest focus here is of Haruki and Kazusa's love for one another. And then Setsuna ends up kind of being the third, despite her being Haruki's boyfriend. Closing chapter is a lot more focused on Setsuna, and Kazusa's pretty much non-existent. So as far as like, oh, they didn't put Setsuna enough in the anime, like, that's just because it's the introductory chapter anime. That's really what it is. So I don't think it's noteworthy. At least it's not as much as Maruto-san is apologizing for. Anyway, my fussy insistences were on full throttle for this episode. Like the ending vocals, starting with the lyrics credits for After All, as we transition from summer to fall to winter. And I made a lot of selfish requests involving everything from staging to music. Also, regarding the content shown, I yet again took a very responsibility-shoving approach. Something like, wow, this is amazing. Oh, but I can't make it to the studio, so I'll just let you handle it. And I understand the studio left behind ran into some bumps as a result. How are you getting along, everyone? I'm so sorry. I'll buy you all a bowl of katsudon. Katsudon, like the breaded chicken or pork. On top of rice, of course. Please forgive me. About the wine Yoko-san was drinking in this episode, right after the episode aired, its origins were identified. But that was all Shimokawa-san's own decision. And though he told us that Kazusa's birth year was a fairly good year, Maruto can enjoy drinking just about anything alcoholic, and so does not understand that particular fixation very well yet. I am very sorry, and I hope you'll give me a glass for studying purposes. Or maybe a few 100,000 bottles. He does like his wine. He does like his liquor. He's mentioned that in a couple of different interviews, that he's an alcohol fan. Which brings us to episode 12, Graduation. Next, the 12th episode, which many viewers mistook for the final episode. I'm sorry, I'm no good at series composition. I apologize for any troubles caused. Yes, because usually when it comes to short animes, or when it comes to even just the first season of an anime, it's usually 12, right? It's usually like 12, sometimes 24 or 22. Those are some usual numbers for anime. 13, there probably are other animes that have that, but I personally cannot think of any anime that has 13 off the top of my head, which means it's a little bit more rare there. I take some pride in this episode, mainly on the negative front, for the number of highlights it's packed with, including Setsuna's long-awaited reappearance, Haruki crying his eyes out, and stalker Haruki. Oh boy. In particular, the scene in which Setsuna tells Io the truth about what happened the night after the school festival was, in a certain sense, almost too incredible, both for its staging and for Yonezawa-san's performance. And I actually got a bit scared while I was watching it. No, I think that's a good thing. When you're watching something that's this emotional and this deep, you should kind of, you should have your your mouth hidden behind your hands like, oh God, what's going to happen? Oh God, this is horrible. That means that they did it right, because that's the kind of emotions that this was supposed to evoke. And the fact that it evokes it of the person who actually wrote the series means it was done very well. How strange. This was meant to be a depiction of melancholy and heartache, so how did it end up like this? The famous line. One might say that my own great treasure will break if I hold it. That is a reference to Coda. Ooh, it's a reference to Kazusa's normal route, the cheating route. The inclusion of a featured track in the ending has become a custom by now, and this time Twinkle Snow, which adorns the ending of I See, debuts a 13 version of its own. The greatest objective for episode 12 was to figure out how much of Akari Tsuda-san's full-bodied vocals we could fit in. And then we're continuing on the right-hand side. And so I did what I could to make the final reunion scene between Haruki and Kazusa as long as possible. Picture me adding lots of water to it. Gotta fit those sad vocals in. Now, all that remains is the final episode. And when I had finished writing episode 12, I realized a shocking fact. We haven't heard On Saying Goodbye at all recently. Well, we can certainly fix that, because there are a lot of goodbyes about to be said. Which brings us to the final episode of the anime, at least as of now, hopefully not forever. Episode 13, Love Out of Reach. And here comes the final episode following that poll. At first, I thought of having On Saying Goodbye play, partly in order to make up for the past few episodes, but Setsuna's version of Love Out of Reach was enshrined with footage of the live part. So, absolutely determined to make that the featured song, at the climax of the episode, I fabricated... No, that's a joke. But it was very admirably inserted into the scene of the conversation with Setsuna on the train. God, that was such an awkward thing. Like, having train rides with people you're not close to in general is pretty awkward. But having a train ride with someone you're just like, oh yeah, you just cheated on me, so let's go see this girl. Like, that's so awkward. Also, regarding that scene, I was determined to include the two of us were there with smiling faces. While President Shimokawa wanted that winter, when I realized I couldn't stand to be without you. So we wound up with a slightly different On Saying Goodbye. If anybody at all noticed, the producers will simply drown in happiness and self-satisfaction. So by all means do what? The fans do notice, though. The fans notice every little thing that they do. Even things like this, even these little text commentaries, people comb through it looking for that additional information. You know, what's their favorite snack? Do they have any hobbies that aren't specifically listed in the game? Like, true fans will find everything. If you look at the script for this episode included in the special features, the first draft was actually the final draft, which is very unusual. It could be that at that moment, all of my work had finally borne fruit. Or it could be that at that moment, the staff finally went, it's fine, we can fine-tune it ourselves. The world may never know. Or it was just written so beautifully that it didn't need to be touched. With that, my long-running, long-winded text commentary comes to an end, as does ours in a bit. Whether or not my ridiculously long chattering can continue depends on King Records and their airs and whims. I mean, on all of you and your support. So I ask you to continue supporting me for many years to come. Bye for now. Oh, Maruto-san. It's written like he knows that there's so much more to tell. You know, there's not a lot of finality to that statement. And yet, years later, we still don't have a full anime. We just have the beginning. And this brings us to the end. Project WA2. So, thank you very, very much for being with me. This is the final volume of the Blu-ray set. This has been volume 6, and I will continue doing official materials readings from various items from White Album 2 in the future. So until then, I hope you take care. See you.